Hey, what's up, everyone? Are you tired of feeling like your emotions are running your life? Do you want to take control and become the master of your own mind? Well, buckle up, because in this video, we're diving deep into the world of Stoicism, the ancient philosophy that's going to revolutionize the way you handle your emotions. I'm about to show you how to transform from an emotional wreck into an unshakable force of nature. We'll explore the core principles of Stoicism, learn practical techniques to apply in your daily life, and I'll share some personal stories of how this philosophy changed my life. By the end of this video, you'll have the tools to face any challenge with a calm and rational mind. You'll learn how to stop reacting and start responding. And trust me, once you start applying these principles, you'll wonder how you ever lived without them. So are you ready to take control of your emotions and level up your life? Let's do this. Number 1, the nature of emotions. Alright, let's kick things off by talking about emotions. We all have them, right? But have you ever stopped to think about what they really are? Emotions are like these powerful waves that crash over us, influencing our thoughts, actions, and decisions. They can be beautiful, inspiring us to create art or fall in love. But they can also be destructive, leading us to make choices we later regret. Here's the thing, emotions aren't inherently good or bad. They're just signals, messages from our brain trying to tell us something about our environment or internal state. The problem is, we often let these signals hijack our entire being. We become slaves to our emotions, letting them dictate our actions without any input from our rational mind. Think about the last time you got really angry. Maybe someone cut you off in traffic, or your boss criticized your work. In that moment, your emotions took over. Your heart raced, your muscles tensed, and you probably said or did something you later regretted. That's what being a slave to your emotions looks like. But here's the kicker. Emotions are fleeting. They come and go like clouds in the sky. Yet we often treat them like they're permanent, immovable facts of our existence. We say things like, "I am angry," or "I am sad," as if these emotions define who we are. But they don't. You are not your emotions. You're the sky, and emotions are just the weather passing through. Now, I'm not saying we should suppress our emotions or try to become emotionless robots. That's not the goal here. Emotions are an important part of the human experience. They add color and depth to our lives. The key is learning how to experience emotions without being controlled by them. This is where Stoicism comes in. It's not about eliminating emotions, but about developing a healthier relationship with them. It's about learning to observe our emotions objectively, understand where they're coming from, and choose how we want to respond to them. So, as we dive deeper into Stoicism, I want you to start thinking about your own relationship with your emotions. Are you in control, or are they controlling you? Get ready, because we're about to embark on a journey that will completely transform how you experience and respond to your emotions. Number 2, Introduction to Stoicism. Now that we've talked about emotions, let's dive into Stoicism. And no, it's not about being emotionless or suppressing your feelings. That's a common misconception. Stoicism is an ancient Greek philosophy that's all about living a life of virtue, in harmony with reason and nature. It's a practical approach to life that can help you navigate the ups and downs with grace and resilience. Stoicism was founded by Zeno of Citium around 300 BC, but it was later developed and popularized by Roman philosophers like Seneca, Epictetus, and Marcus Aurelius. These guys weren't just ivory tower intellectuals. They were people dealing with real-life problems, just like us. Seneca was a statesman who faced exile and death threats. Epictetus was born a slave. Marcus Aurelius was the emperor of Rome, dealing with the pressures of ruling an empire. They used Stoicism to navigate these challenges, and their teachings have survived for thousands of years because they work. At its core, Stoicism is about focusing on what you can control and letting go of what you can't. It teaches that the only thing truly under our control is our own mind, our thoughts, judgments, and actions. Everything else, other people's opinions, external events, even our own bodies to some extent, is outside our control. This might sound limiting at first, but it's actually incredibly liberating when you really get it. Think about it. How much time and energy do you waste worrying about things you can't change? The weather, traffic, what other people think of you. Stoicism teaches us to redirect that energy towards the things we can actually influence. It's about taking responsibility for our own thoughts and actions rather than blaming external circumstances for our problems. But Stoicism isn't just about personal development. It also emphasizes the importance of virtue and living in accordance with nature. The Stoics believed that by cultivating wisdom, justice, courage, and self-control, we could live a good and fulfilling life, regardless of external circumstances. It's about becoming the best version of yourself and contributing positively to the world around you. Now, I know what you might be thinking. This sounds great in theory, but how does it actually help me in real life? Well, that's exactly what we're going to explore in this video. Stoicism isn't just a philosophy to be studied. It's a way of life to be practiced. It provides practical tools and techniques that you can apply to your daily life to become more resilient, focused, and at peace. So, are you ready to discover how Stoicism can transform your life? Are you ready to stop being a slave to your emotions and start taking control of your mind? Let's dive deeper and explore the core principles of Stoicism that will help you do just that. Number 3. The dichotomy of control. All right, let's talk about one of the most powerful concepts in Stoicism, the dichotomy of control. This is a game changer, folks. It's like having a superpower that allows you to cut through the noise and focus on what really matters. Are you ready for this? Here it is. There are things that are within our control and things that are not within our control. And that's it. That's the dichotomy. Now you might be thinking, duh, that's obvious. But hold on, because when you really start applying this principle to your life, it's mind-blowing. According to the Stoics, the only things truly within our control are our own thoughts, judgments, and actions. Everything else, and I mean everything, is outside our control. Let that sink in for a moment. Your reputation? Not in your control. The weather? Not in your control. The economy? The actions of others? The outcome of your efforts? None of these are in your control. You can influence some of these things, sure, but you can't control them. The only thing you have complete control over is how you respond to these external events. This realization is incredibly liberating. Think about how much time and energy you spend worrying about things you can't change. How much stress and anxiety you experience over outcomes you can't control. The dichotomy of control teaches us to redirect all that energy towards the things we can actually influence, our own thoughts and actions. Here's a personal example. A few years ago, I was stressing out about a job interview. I was obsessing over whether I'd get the job or not, imagining all sorts of scenarios. Then I remembered the dichotomy of control. I realized that the outcome of the interview wasn't in my control. What was in my control? Preparing thoroughly, presenting myself well, and giving honest and thoughtful answers. So that's what I focused on. And you know what? Regardless of the outcome, I felt a sense of peace because I knew I'd done everything within my power. Now, this doesn't mean we become passive and stop trying to achieve things. Not at all. It means we focus our energy on our actions rather than obsessing over outcomes. We do our best, and then we let go. We accept whatever happens with equanimity because we know we've done what we could. So I challenge you to start applying this principle in your life. Next time you feel stressed or anxious, ask yourself, is this within my control? If it's not, let it go. Focus on what you can control, your thoughts, your actions, your responses. Trust me, this simple shift in perspective can dramatically reduce your stress and increase your effectiveness. It's time to stop being a slave to external circumstances and start taking control of your own mind. Number 4. Virtue as the highest good. Now let's talk about something that might sound a bit old-fashioned at first, but trust me, it's crucial to understanding Stoicism. I'm talking about virtue. In Stoic philosophy, virtue is considered the highest good, the only thing that's truly good in and of itself. But what exactly do we mean by virtue? In Stoicism, virtue isn't about following a set of rigid moral rules. It's about excellence of character. The Stoics identified 4 cardinal virtues: wisdom, justice, courage, and self-control. Wisdom is about understanding the world and making good judgments. Justice is about treating others fairly and contributing to society. Courage is about doing the right thing even when it's difficult. And self-control is about mastering your desires and emotions. Now here's where it gets interesting. The Stoics believe that virtue is the only thing that can bring true happiness and fulfillment. Not wealth, not fame, not pleasure. These are all preferred indifference in Stoic terms. Nice to have, but not essential for a good life. Virtue, on the other hand, is essential. It's the key to living in harmony with nature and reason. But why is virtue so important? Because it's the only thing that's always under our control. Remember the dichotomy of control we just talked about? Well, virtue falls squarely in the things we can control category. We can always choose to act with wisdom, justice, courage, and self-control, regardless of our external circumstances. This focus on virtue is incredibly empowering. It means that no matter what life throws at you, you always have the power to live a good life. You could lose all your money, your status, even your freedom, but as long as you can choose to act virtuously, you can maintain your dignity and inner peace. Let me give you a personal example. A few years ago, I was offered a high-paying job that would have required me to do some ethically questionable things. It was tempting. The money would have solved a lot of problems, but I knew that taking that job would compromise my integrity. So I turned it down. It wasn't easy, but I felt a deep sense of peace, knowing I'd stayed true to my values. That's the power of prioritizing virtue. Now, I'm not saying you need to become a saint overnight. Developing virtue is a lifelong journey. But start paying attention to your choices. Are you acting with wisdom, justice, courage, and self-control? Are you making decisions based on what's right or just what's easy or profitable? Remember, according to Stoicism, these choices are what truly determine the quality of your life. Not your bank account, not your social media followers, but your character. So are you ready to start prioritizing virtue in your life? Number 5. Negative visualization. Alright, now we're going to talk about a Stoic practice that might sound a bit strange at first, but trust me, it's powerful. It's called negative visualization, or in Latin, premeditatio malorum, the premeditation of evils. Don't worry, it's not as gloomy as it sounds. In fact, it's a technique that can significantly boost your happiness and resilience. Here's how it works. You regularly take time to imagine losing the things you value. Your job, your home, your health, even your loved ones. I know it sounds depressing, but stick with me here. The goal isn't to make yourself miserable or anxious. It's to cultivate gratitude for what you have and to prepare yourself mentally for life's challenges. Think about it. We often take the good things in our lives for granted. Your morning coffee, the roof over your head, the people you love. These things become invisible to us because we're so used to them. Negative visualization snaps us out of this complacency. When you imagine losing something, you suddenly appreciate it so much more. But it's not just about gratitude. Negative visualization also helps us prepare for adversity. By imagining worst-case scenarios, we realize that we could handle them if they actually happened. It takes away some of the fear of the unknown. Plus, when real challenges do come along, we're better prepared to face them because we've already mentally rehearsed how we might respond. Let me share a personal example. A few years ago, I started practicing negative visualization regularly. I'd imagine losing my job, my home, even my loved ones. At first, it was uncomfortable, but over time, I noticed something amazing happening. I started appreciating everything in my life so much more. My relationships deepened because I stopped taking people for granted. I worked harder and smarter because I realized how fortunate I was to have my job. And when difficulties did come, like when I actually did lose a job unexpectedly, I was much better prepared to handle it. Instead of panicking, I was able to stay calm and focus on my next steps. The practice had made me more resilient. Now, I'm not saying you should spend all your time dwelling on worst-case scenarios. That's not healthy either, but try incorporating some negative visualization into your routine. Maybe spend a few minutes each day imagining life without something you value. Notice how it changes your perspective. Notice how it makes you more appreciative, more prepared, more resilient. It's a powerful tool for transforming your mindset and stopping the emotional roller coaster that comes from taking things for granted. Number 6, voluntary discomfort. Now, let's talk about another Stoic practice that might sound a bit crazy at first, but bear with me because this one's a game changer. It's called voluntary discomfort. Yes, you heard that right. We're going to talk about voluntarily making ourselves uncomfortable. But trust me, there's a method to this madness. The idea behind voluntary discomfort is simple. Regularly expose yourself to small hardships or inconveniences on purpose. This could be something like taking a cold shower, fasting for a day, sleeping on the floor, or wearing your least favorite clothes. The Stoics believed that by voluntarily experiencing discomfort, we build resilience and reduce our fear of discomfort. Think about it. Most of us spend our lives trying to avoid discomfort at all costs. We're always seeking the easiest, most comfortable path. But what happens when life inevitably throws some hardship our way? We're not prepared. We crumble. Voluntary discomfort is like a vaccine against life's difficulties. It builds up our immunity to discomfort. But it's not just about toughening up. Voluntary discomfort also helps us appreciate what we have. When you sleep on the floor for a night, your bed suddenly feels like a luxury. When you fast for a day, a simple meal becomes a feast. It's a powerful way to cultivate gratitude and contentment. Let me share a personal story. A few years ago, I decided to try voluntary discomfort. I started with cold showers. The first few times were awful. I dreaded it every morning. But after a while, something interesting happened. I started to enjoy the challenge. I felt invigorated after each cold shower, proud that I'd pushed through the discomfort. And you know what? It started spilling over into other areas of my life. I found myself more willing to take on challenges at work, to have difficult conversations I'd been avoiding. My comfort zone had expanded. But here's the real kicker. I also became much more appreciative of hot showers. Instead of taking them for granted, I savored them. This spilled over into other areas too. I started noticing and appreciating all the small comforts in my life that I'd been overlooking. So I challenge you to try some voluntary discomfort. Start small, maybe a cold shower or skipping a meal. Notice how it makes you feel. Notice how it changes your perspective. It's not about punishing yourself. It's about building resilience, expanding your comfort zone, and cultivating gratitude. Trust me, a little discomfort now can lead to a lot more comfort and contentment in the long run. Number 7, daily Stoic practices. All right, we've covered a lot of ground, but now let's get practical. How do we actually apply Stoicism in our daily lives? How do we stop being slaves to our emotions and start living with more wisdom and resilience? Well, I'm going to share with you some daily Stoic practices that you can start implementing right away. First up, let's talk about the morning routine. Many Stoics, including Marcus Aurelius, started their day with reflection. Take a few minutes each morning to set your intentions for the day. Ask yourself, what challenges might I face today? How can I respond to them with wisdom and virtue? This mental preparation can make a huge difference in how you handle whatever the day throws at you. Next, practice mindfulness throughout the day. The Stoics were big on paying attention to the present moment. When you're eating, really taste your food. When you're talking to someone, really listen. When you're working, focus fully on the task at hand. This helps you stay grounded and reduces anxiety about the past or future. Another powerful practice is the evening review. At the end of each day, take some time to reflect. What went well? What could you have done better? Did you act in accordance with your values? This isn't about beating yourself up. It's about learning and growing. It's about constantly striving to be a little bit better than you were yesterday. Throughout the day, practice the view from above. This is a Stoic technique where you imagine viewing your life and your problems from a great height or even from the perspective of the cosmos. It helps put your troubles in perspective and reminds you of what's truly important. Remember to regularly practice negative visualization and voluntary discomfort as we discussed earlier. These don't have to be daily practices, but try to incorporate them into your routine regularly. Maybe once a week, spend some time imagining losing what you value. Maybe once a month, intentionally do something uncomfortable. Finally, keep learning. The Stoics were lifelong learners. Read Stoic texts, reflect on them, discuss them with others. But don't just study. Apply what you learn. Stoicism is a practical philosophy. It's meant to be lived, not just understood intellectually. Number 8, overcoming challenges with Stoicism. Now, let's talk about how to apply Stoicism when life gets tough. Because let's face it, no matter how well we prepare, life will throw curveballs at us. The key is in how we respond to these challenges, and this is where Stoicism really shines. When you're faced with a difficult situation, the first step is to apply the dichotomy of control. Ask yourself, what aspects of this situation are within my control and what aspects aren't? Focus your energy on what you can control, your thoughts, your judgments, your actions. Let go of what you can't control. This immediately reduces stress and helps you respond more effectively. Next, look for the opportunity in the obstacle. The Stoics believe that every challenge is an opportunity for growth. When you face a setback, ask yourself, what can I learn from this? How can this make me stronger or wiser? This shift in perspective can turn even the most daunting challenges into valuable experiences. Remember to keep your focus on virtue. In any challenging situation, ask yourself, what would a wise, just, courageous, and self-controlled person do in this situation? Let virtue be your guide, rather than fear or desire. This helps you maintain your integrity and peace of mind, regardless of the outcome. Use negative visualization to put your current challenge in perspective. Imagine how things could be worse. This doesn't mean minimizing your problems, but rather recognizing that you have the strength to handle them. It also helps cultivate gratitude for what's going well in your life, even in difficult times. Practice acceptance. This doesn't mean being passive or giving up. It means accepting reality as it is, rather than wasting energy wishing things were different. Once you accept the situation, you can respond to it more effectively. As Epictetus said, don't demand that things happen as you wish, but wish that they happen as they do happen, and you will go on well. Finally, remember that this too shall pass. The Stoics emphasize the impermanence of all things. Whatever you're going through, good or bad, it's temporary. This perspective can give you hope in difficult times and help you fully appreciate good times while they last. And there you have it, folks. We've covered a lot of ground today. We've explored what it means to be a slave to your emotions and how Stoicism can help you break free. We've delved into core Stoic principles, like the dichotomy of control and virtue as the highest good. We've looked at powerful practices like negative visualization and voluntary discomfort. And we've discussed how to apply these ideas in your daily life and when facing challenges. Remember, Stoicism isn't about suppressing your emotions or becoming a cold, unfeeling robot. It's about developing a healthier relationship with your emotions, focusing on what you can control, and striving to live with wisdom and virtue. It's a practical philosophy that can help you navigate life's ups and downs with more resilience and peace of mind. So I challenge you to start applying these Stoic principles in your life. Start small, maybe with a morning reflection or an evening review. Pay attention to how it changes your perspective and your responses to life's challenges. And remember, it's a practice. You won't become a sage overnight, but with consistent effort, you can gradually gain more control over your mind and your life. Are you ready to stop being a slave to your emotions? Are you ready to start living with more wisdom, resilience, and inner peace? The choice is yours. As Marcus Aurelius said, you have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. Now go out there and take control of your mind. Your future self will thank you. Peace out.